Businesses are having to confront major changes in the way they operate in this digital world. News agents are no exception. Now, apart from the dramatic increase in the consumption of news material online, news agencies have also been confronted by competition from lotto betting businesses. Now, the New South Wales government has just in the last few days announced it will look into regulating or banning these businesses, such as Lottoland. So a good time to look at the business generally being a news agent in 2017. And joining me on the line is the Chief Executive of the Australian Lottery and News Agents Association, Adam Joy. Thanks for your time, Adam.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, I thought we'd have a look at news agents in general, but obviously seeing the Lottoland and just generally that idea of lotto betting businesses is so topical. We'll start with that. I mean, we're talking about essentially for those who haven't looked into what this is all about. It's not a lotto in the way that we think of a lotto. It's a betting agency that bets on the outcome of a lotto run by somebody else, isn't it?
That's right. They leverage off the intellectual property, if you will, of the same colours of the lottery balls and the name and the imagery, which can lead to mislead customers to think that they're playing in the official lottery, but in actual fact they are betting on a outcome of a lottery, and that money is immediately sent overseas as per their website terms and conditions.
So therefore the problem's a couple-fold here. Obviously it's bad for the small business in Australia, particularly the news agent, and it's bad for government because they're not getting the tax revenue.
Absolutely. I mean, the issue of the tax is one that's raised, and I suppose if you talk to the everyday punter, I suppose we all try to minimise our tax, but at the end of the day, the lottery's tax that's applied, which is 25 cents in every dollar, goes towards infrastructure in the country like policing, hospitals, school, consolidated revenue. So it's money that's well spent in our country.
Now, this isn't the first time, though, I've heard of news agents being threatened, I suppose, with competition on the lottery. The other aspect is I've heard in the past about the move to take away this being the sole domain of news agents and say, for example, supermarkets being able to sell official lottery tickets.
That's right. I think there's been different opinions that have been put out there, but I suppose if you look at the success of lotteries, and that's often been completed in small businesses with less than about 20 or 25 employees. And if you look across the country, there's a good spread of people, not just news agents doing well with it. So in South Australia, there's only about 50% of news agents that have lotteries.
Yep.
The other places are like small delis and supermarkets and corner stores. What you find is that there's probably a real connection with the community in those smaller businesses that do sell lotteries.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So just quickly on Lottoland, etc., the New South Wales government is looking at regulating or banning it. What's been the news in other states?
So Victoria have made a very similar statement, and so has the Minister in Western Australia as well. I think they're all looking at it at the moment and trying to make sure that the existing legislation either protects that revenue or if there's a change in legislation required. So South Australia has existing legislation under the Act that can only have approved betting contingencies that are allowed. And currently, betting on the outcome of lotteries is not one of those approved contingencies.
Yeah, it seems that for me, just in my own personal opinion, it's a bizarre thing to do, really. But people obviously have been.
Exactly. I think some people are still confused. I mean, we still have plenty of people walking into the store, talking to the retailer, saying, I decided to do it online and try the US Powerball and things like that, not realising that they don't have the same assurance or protection as they do under the regulated lotteries here in Australia.
Okay, well, I mean, that's obviously a battle that's fairly important. You mentioned some news agents interstate, in South Australia, for example, don't have lotteries. Can news agents survive without lotteries and lotto? If, for example, either if the likes of Lottoland were to pinch share, or alternatively, if one day supermarkets can sell these tickets?
Correct. I mean, if you have a look at any retail business now, if they're not diversifying their model, they're going to be in trouble. We've got some really good news agencies that aren't exempt to that from their traditional, print, paper and magazine and lottery category. But we've got some guys there looking at diversifying and moving into categories like toys, and we show probably about a 16% year-on-year growth in the toy market at the moment in the news agency channel. Gifts are showing about an 11% growth year-on-year in the news agency channel. And there's other things like plush and collectibles and stationery and arts. And I suppose part of our job is educating these guys on how to have an online presence so they're still making money while they sleep.
Well, it's fairly important, isn't it? I mean, even before we knew anything about Lottoland, there must have obviously been the threat about people developing or consuming rather their news and entertainment online.
Absolutely, and so therefore a good business model of a newsagent at the moment really treats themselves as the community concierge, is how we put it. So they find out what their community needs and they make sure they deliver that for their community in a way that their community wants to consume it.
I guess you've got the option of the stationery and those sorts of lines as another tier of what a newsagent does.
Absolutely, and some newsagents are really good at that, especially in areas that don't have big mass market competitors. They become the small business stationery provider for all the other small businesses in town. We've got people who do really well in the area of arts, and we've got examples of newsagents who actually have online businesses for all the art, paint and canvases and the like, and they're selling those products not only in their own town, but interstate and internationally as well.
Well, is it still the newsagent who delivers the paper? Say we order our paper online through News Limited or Fairfax. Is it still the newsagent who does the actual work of bringing it to your house?
So in some cases, yes, or in most cases, I should say yes, but in some cases now, that newsagent may actually not have a retail front. So you might have a newsagent who has a little warehouse who might be delivering 3,000 or 4,000 papers overnight to homes, but they also might be dropping off a bundle at the local IGA or a bundle at the local independent service station.
Yeah, well, that brings me to my next question. And I know the horse bolted in this regard quite some time ago, but it must have been a pretty big blow when newsagents and service stations started selling newspapers.
Oh, look, I think I think we go well back into the mid-90s when papers were deregulated. I think that any business now that's still trying to hang on to that model that was pre-2000 is going to be in trouble.
Well, the whole world's changed, hasn't it? So, I mean, we're talking about what a newsagent is, but it could be a gift shop as well. It can be a little bit of a convenience store, the same as really a service station's become a convenience store and selling newsagents' equipment.
Absolutely. So you see some of the good community guys, you might see the combined news agency and post office, or the news agency and pharmacy combined, or the news agency and tobacconist. And that's where we talk about that community concierge, where they find out what the town needs and they come together in a way that provides a product and service that meets the town's needs.
That's a town. Is a newsagent still thriving, though, say, in suburban cities?
So once again, we talk about the making sure you're that community concierge. So in a city or in a metropolitan area, George Street, Sydney, you need to be more of a convenience model. So you might have a store that's laid out more like a 7-Eleven model than you would in the back of Dubbo.
Okay, so even if we end up with a more deregulated lottery system, and presuming, for example, Lotto Land gets outlawed or whatever, even if we end up with a more deregulated lottery system, do you think the newsagent has a future?
Oh, absolutely. I think the newsagent who is embracing the digital world, and the newsagent who is diversifying his and her product mix, and the newsagent who is delivering what the community needs will be around for a long time to come.
So not going the way of the video store, for example?
Absolutely not. I mean, you've got small local businesses who are really thriving by delivering what their community needs.
Okay, we'll leave it there for today, Adam. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
And now a weather update for Enigma at the Piazza Castle Hill. Morning with Restaurant, open for lunch.